More tech news than you care to shake a stick at. Oh, you still have a cold?
I still have a cold.
Is it colder than last time?
I'm barely alive. Not really. I'm exaggerating, of course. But it does suck.
Yeah, Wendell's doing this from a hospital bed over there. We've got a gurney in here.
I'm just Skyped in on the Surface that's taped to the camera handle so I can make sure that the thing is still running because the USB port's broken. Are there any Canon authorized service centers in the house? Come on.
Yeah, we've got we desperately need a Canon authorized service center that's not going to charge us $900 to fix the USB ports on the Canon 5D. Anyway, thanks you guys for buying Zweihander. Buy it if you haven't purchased it. If not, we're moving on. I don't care. We'll get some t-shirts and all that. I don't feel like doing a meta segment today. Can you tell?
Beer Games Beer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beer Games Beer. Go over there and subscribe. We've got some new content up. I want you guys to check out this video called Why We Don't Fast Travel, because I know a lot of you bastards out there fast travel and you miss all the fun. You are ruining your gaming experience. So what we're doing is this thing where I fast travel sometimes and Pistol fast travels sometimes, and then we tell each other about our experience and we share it with you guys, and it's kind of silly. And she's a terrible person because she kills innocent little animals like bunnies all the time.
Oh, there's a bunny.
Okay, you've got you're using... I cannot do this with a bow and arrow. Every time she sees a bunny, she's like, I must kill it. I think she's sadistic, even though she loves animals. Linus emailed me. And there's a thing going on right now. He wanted to give me a heads up so I could give you guys a heads up. So he emailed me this. Intel has a promotion going on right now, and select Intel processors will qualify you to get a free Extreme Edition Intel beanie while supplies last. So what you do is you go over to intelgamingpromo.com/intel/winner giveaway/register. There's a link that's going to be on Tech Syndicate, so you don't need to worry about remembering all that. But you just go there right now and do this, because you're also going to be entered to win one of 15 custom Intel snowboards. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting how Intel is pushing people out the door. Like, hey, buy a CPU, but get out there. Go outside and, shred or whatever. Was that what they do on snowboards? They shred?
Could I trade the snowboard for like a really high-end Xeon processor with like 50 megabytes of L3 cache? I'd rather have whatever they sell for database servers.
But then you wouldn't have the wind in your face. You'd be playing simulations of that.
Don't care.
I want the snowboard.
If I went outside for that long, I would probably burn up.
Oh, this is ridiculous. It didn't really have much to do with technology, but I wanted to yell about Columbia University. Columbia University in New York City, the students there in the cafeteria go through over 100 pounds of Nutella every day. Okay, number one, they have Nutella at their school. And number two, they were talking about, they've got to make some cuts because this is like $5,000 worth of Nutella per week. And I'm sure that the guys at Nutella are like, that's awesome. But they're going to have to make some cuts right now because the kids are just eating up all the profits. So instead of cutting the Nutella, because they obviously love the Nutella, what they're thinking about doing is cutting something, less significant, like lobster tails. You believe they have lobster tails at their cafeteria? What the hell kind of school is this?
I'm sorry. What? Lobster tail?
Lobster tail on the menu. Let's talk about the new Star Wars. We haven't really talked about it much. But the original cast, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, all those guys are going to be back for the next movie. So how do you feel about that?
I guess it's good that they're coming back, but it's kind of worrisome that they're all like 60 plus.
Oh, where's that image? There it is. Yep,
Yeah.
There they are. Let's give you guys a warning. We're here to try to stay on top of things. Quo Computer. They've got Project Q coming out. It's a motherboard. I think they're partnering with Gigabyte to bring you a motherboard. And supposedly you're going to be able to install any OS that you want on this with this motherboard. That means OS 10. Now, OS 10, Wendell, tell them how this works. How do you install OS 10 on a motherboard without, building it, without having to hack the kernel or anything like that?
Okay, so there was a company called Pi-Star that did this a few years ago.
They're in Florida.
Yeah, and they actually sold just a PC. Okay, for those of you who don't know, a Mac is a PC. It is. Foxconn makes it. It's not anything glorious. It's not even really made to Apple specification. It's just
children at Foxconn put these things together under Apple's whip.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but what makes an Apple an Apple? It's part of the Trusted Platform Module, TPM. Like if you whip out your motherboard manual and you look, there's a thing on there called a TPM header. Now most PC motherboards, like when you buy a motherboard part, it doesn't come with a TPM module, but Apple motherboards have a TPM module. And so that TPM module has the cryptographic keys that say I'm a Mac. And so unless these people are doing something illegal, they don't have that. And that was what Pi-Star was like, well, we're going to buy OS X, but we're going to hack it to not check for that thing. And that should be okay, right? Because we bought it. And the answer to that legally in the United States was no, that's not okay.
I mean, even though in my opinion, and also in the opinion of the German courts, that's antitrust. And if a user purchases a piece of software, even if the EULA says that they're not allowed to install it on any other platform, it's not Apple's place to tell them how to use their software. So you can install it wherever you want. But Apple in the United States won the court case, and they can dictate where the consumers that buy their application or buy their OS are allowed to install it.
Yeah, I would agree that when you buy OS X, you ought to be able to install it on whatever you want. Know that it's unsupported.
But they want to control the user experience.
Yeah, it should not be illegal.
What about the user making up his own mind about the user experience? Wouldn't that be that user's experience?
No,
he wants to control it?
Apple doesn't want clones. They had clones a long time ago, and then they're like, clones are evil, down with the clones. And there was a clone war or something. I don't know.
What, we talking about Star Wars again?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we're back to Star Wars.
They don't want clones. They want drones that buy Apple products. Simple enough. So I'm really worried about this. It's about to they're about to hit their goal. They're at 67,229 as of the making of this video. Tomorrow they'll probably be closer to 70-something thousand. I'm really worried about this because even if it does come out, Apple is going to go crazy, and I just don't want people to lose their money. I think Apple's going to file for injunction. There's going to be all kinds of things going on. I see a legal battle coming out of this. I watched the video. The video, I don't know. I don't really have a good feeling about this. So.
I hope it's legit, but for me, it's just, it doesn't pass the sniff test. Because at the end of the day, this is a PC motherboard. Did they pick a motherboard that has components that are well supported in Linux and supported natively in OS X? Because you can't just run OS X, or you can run OS X on just any motherboard, but the driver support is spotty because Apple picks and chooses what hardware they have. So theoretically, this motherboard uses the same hardware that you get on a regular.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be building a Hackintosh, what you want to do is use a Gigabyte Z77 motherboard in the first place, because they require the least amount of finagling.
But you didn't hear that from us.
No, we don't know anything about that. And I want to end with a quote from Carrie Fisher. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Well, if any of you guys have any dead Intel Macs you want to send us, I think somebody's, summer project, some student somewhere that's, preferably under the age of 18, should see if they can hack this TPM module onto a regular PC motherboard, because that should be totally legal. Like, that should be, completely okay.
They're going to raise hell about it because they're Apple. That's what they do.
But if you put the TPM chip on a regular PC motherboard and you can boot OS X without modifying it, is that okay? I mean, that should be okay, but I don't want to be the one to find out.
You don't want to go to court?
No.
What's Rand Paul up to here? Okay, now we're going to mention this quickly because it's not exactly technology, but it is a big deal here in America. Rand Paul has been pressuring Obama to come out and say that he's not going to kill Americans on American soil, and Obama's not been able to give him a straight answer, so he's freaking out. Take a look at this letter here. It's very interesting. But, I'm not sure how I feel about Rand Paul. He seems to be in the office for more than just his own personal gain, which is good, but I also don't really understand some of his views, so he does seem to be doing some interesting things, though. So take a look at what Rand Paul's up to, and I would be concerned. But first, remember Microsoft said that, or Microsoft didn't come out and say anything about the ability to move Office 2013 from one PC to the other. Well, they released a statement, and now it's going to be no problem to move your license from one computer to the other. So that's good news.
That's only the retail version. If you order it with your computer, you're still screwed. Well, they don't mention that, but it's always been like that.
Well, they better mention that. I mean, they're going to have to come out and say something, because right now they're in so much trouble, they're going to have to do everything they can to look good. In more good news, we have a Minnesota senator, Klobuchar. Why do they always have to have terrible names like this that I can't pronounce? Senators, change your last names to benefit me, okay? So I can say it correctly.
I thought it was not very nice when Boner had Wiener thrown out. Wiener seemed like a stand-up guy.
Then Boner wasn't?
No, Boner is definitely not a stand-up guy.
So this Minnesota senator, she wants to make cell phone locking legal again, and this comes right after the White House got behind this, because the petition hit the White House. The White House came out and said, yes, we are for the unlocking of cell phones. So she's fighting for your Fourth Amendment right,
and tablets. They actually said,
yeah,
maybe tablets should be okay.
So that's good. I mean, she said some things like, the Fourth Amendment doesn't stop at the internet, et cetera, et cetera. Was that her that said that? I don't know. If you guys want to get involved with this or check out what's going on, you can go to fixthedmca.org and take a look at that website. It's another activist website with big bubbly icons and whatnot, so it's pretty cool. I don't know. It'll give you a quick rundown of what's happening and what you can do to help. Now, there's also a bill in Congress right now that would require law enforcement officials to get a warrant before reading your email. And this is the one that I just misquoted the other senator or whatever she was.
This bill's going to go nowhere fast because it's like, we need a bill to read your email. It's like, wait, you don't already have to have a warrant to read email? Well, not technically, because we squint our eyes and we have this crazy secret interpretation and blah, 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 and welcome to Soviet Russia.
This is interesting. Texas. Now, Texas has a law that they're going to be putting into practice, or they're going to try to get out there, and it's a mobile privacy law, and it will also require law enforcement officials to get warrants, and they say that this one goes even farther than the one that's being proposed on the Hill right now. So that's pretty interesting. You guys can check out what's going on there, but it's good to see Texas, of all places, being a little bit progressive on this. And that's probably because,
property rights.
Yeah, property rights, exactly.
If you can make it about property rights, then all of a sudden, that's what we ought to do. So when you're explaining this to your lesser informed family members and people that explain it in terms of property rights, and maybe we've got a shot in the dark at turning this thing around.
Shatter the ignorance, everybody. Let's do that. Speaking of cell phones, have you seen these leaked Galaxy S4 screenshots?
It looks interesting. Yeah. I like that the phone watches you.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. It watches you and responds to you. So if you're reading, it'll watch where your eyes go. When you get to the bottom where you need to scroll, it will start scrolling for you. So based on where your eyes go, the phone is going to be moving around and scrolling for you.
Dave, stop being distracted. Dave, you got some new emails, new text message. Dave,
read it, Dave.
Just another thing competing for your attention.
And what's even funnier, if you're watching some media or something, like watching a YouTube video, and you look away for a moment, it pauses things. So, yeah.
It's like overly obsessive Galaxy S4.
Over attached Galaxy S4?
Or overly attached Galaxy S4, yeah.
Oh, that's got to be a meme.
Yeah.
Apple, they want to get in on the used digital goods thing that everyone's doing. So they filed for a patent. Let's just hope that they don't get this patent approved and then start suing everyone else that's selling digital goods. That's what we don't want. Apple, if you want to do this, whatever. I don't have an opinion on that. Maybe you guys will have an opinion in the comments.
Loaning was also an option in this patent, too.
Comes out of your library for a while and then goes to someone else's library. Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's that. So Microsoft has gotten itself into some trouble in Europe by, I guess, not being competitive.
Well, okay, you have to remember. You remember that thing that they got convicted of, having the browser monopoly and bundling it with the operating system, and then
shoving it down your throats?
And mysteriously, Internet Explorer failed when you try to go to getfirefox.com. It turns out that's frowned upon in the European Union.
Well, they've done it again with Windows 8, and the EU's not having it. Because, when you get Windows 8, Internet Explorer is pretty much integrated into the experience, and there's not really anything you can do about it. Of course, if you have the desktop version, you can install your own version, but...
Well, because of their behavior, the European Union said that when you install Windows, one of the things you have to ask them when you're setting up the computer is which browser they would like to use. And so it gives them a choice of Opera, Chrome, Firefox right in the browser. That was what they're supposed to do.
Yep. So now Microsoft has to do that, and they also have to pay $700 and something million.
Because they were supposed to have previously done that.
Yeah, and they hadn't done it, so...
And it turned they were like, oh, it's a one-line mistake in something. Please don't fine us. And the European Union is like, yeah, Microsoft was super cooperative on this. Here, have a $750 million fine.
Let's talk about the Six Strikes policy, because then it started, and immediately, right off the bat, we have tons of false identifications. Now, this is ridiculous because a very small game mod has been identified as an NBC TV show. The people have been getting strikes over this nonsense, and the files were like tiny. They were like megabytes, not gigabytes, and they thought that it was a television show. So you guys can take a look at this. There's the the letter to the MediaFire user.
This is those DetectNet Yahoos again that we've mentioned before.
Yeah, those guys that are just like, they have guys that work in the government and all that sort of thing.
That thing that we mentioned was independently reviewed by a guy that used to work for the people who wanted the thing, and it was not independent at all.
People that used to work for the RIAA was the independent reviewer who looked at the software that was going to be used. Not a conflict of interest at all.
And he was like, yeah, this works great. It's awesome, but it wasn't. It's obvious that no one actually tested it.
Yeah, and he's getting a ton of money in his pocket. How do you get a job like that? Sell your soul. That's how. Let's move him right along here.
It's like, oh, you write game mods? No, we're taking you out.
If you have a Yahoo Mail account, well, you should probably get rid of it. But if you want to keep it, you can keep it. Yahoo Mail has been hacked. Change your password, or just don't use it for a while, or both.
Yahoo is terrible.
Yeah. That article was supposed to be later, but I put it in there right now. What I was supposed to go to next was that the hackers have been defacing the Time Warner website for joining the copyright alert system. They put a giant gorilla on their website for a while. It was only on there for a few hours in the middle of the night, so there weren't a lot of customers that saw it, but they did encourage Time Warner to fix a massive security hole. So that's kind of funny.
As this kind of thing happens and it gets easier and easier and easier to do this stuff, the more it's going to be abused. And we've seen DMCA takedown notices get abused. Like the whole NASCAR thing, like we don't really want to talk about NASCAR here.
Yeah.
But there was that crash video and everybody whipped out their cell phones and started taking video. So NASCAR didn't want the negative publicity. So what did they do? They started filing DMCA takedown notices. You know what the consequences of that is? Nothing. They knew it was wrong. It was willful. It was blatant. But they were able to take down those videos and suppress that. And there is zero consequence for that.
There needs to be a huge fine for each false.
Yeah, the government really needs to kick their ass and set an example. I mean, they set an example with us. It's like, oh, we're going to put Aaron Schwartz in jail for 60 years to set an example. Why don't you do that with the big companies?
I can't open up my browser without seeing Violet Blue. Remember we talked about her? She was the girl who was covering the anonymous beat on CNET.
Oh, yeah.
She's written like 40 books. Guys, if you're curious to know what she looks like, that's her. I just saw a thumbnail. I was like, that's her right there. So she's like all over the web. She must be like the most prolific writer on the planet because she writes so much just stuff all the time. Yahoo is going to be banning users' right to work from home.
Yes.
Nope, no more telecommuting. You have to come into the office, check in, and all that nonsense.
Some people don't live anywhere near Yahoo either.
You know what that says to me? That says to me that Yahoo has hired a bunch of Yahoos who need supervision like children.
Well, they've had brain drain for a while, and former employees say that there is no accountability. And Marissa Mayer, who used to work at Google and is quote-unquote a numbers girl, unquote, apparently analyzed the logs and looked at how much work people were doing and decided that the level of output that they were doing really wasn't that much. So it wasn't really a whim, and it wasn't really like, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, she's got a Napoleon complex. But then I looked at it and I was like, no, she was probably just crunching the numbers. I mean, those people have gone to work for Google and Microsoft and other companies like that. So it's not really that surprising. And I'd say that telecommuting will come back. There's a really good video on Slashdot about managing teleworkers from the guy that runs the MySQL team and like how to do that. And there are tools like source code control and blah blah blah. So it's not like you can totally work remotely, but you have to have disciplined workers.
They're gonna have to be dealing with this all day,
This is the Marissa Mayer laugh track.
I just wanted to share this because it's amazing.
So that's
I think we should probably change things up a bit. So I think that
poor girl. She's the CEO of Yahoo. She's really smart. She just has a really terrifying laugh. Like, it's almost like,
It's that forced chortle. Like she's a woman in a position of power. She's got a lot going on. And she has that forced chortle to make everything okay.
I've
seen that before.
It's how I imagine an agent of Cthulhu would laugh. But everyone knows Cthulhu doesn't have agents.
Okay, so the DHS built domestic surveillance Predator drones are going to be used here now. They were used overseas, now they're going to be used here.
To blow up American citizens.
Yeah. There it is, look at that. The agent of your demise flies in the skies, does not eat pies, and shoots you in the eyes or the thighs. I have no idea. Let's just move on because everyone already knows that kind of stuff's happening. Bitcoin is like over $30 right now. It's absurd. Like $5 jump from last week.
It peaked at $50-some or something.
What?
It was over 50.
When was this? Like a while back, right?
Yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Did you buy any?
I did pretty good because I got it when it was like $16.
So Kim.com wants to have his own Bitcoin credit card, but there's already a company, already a bank in France called Paymium, yeah, whatever. They got Paytunia, and that's going to be a Bitcoin credit card. So they're already working on that. What we need is like a Bitcoin transfer mechanism that's like device to device, like you send it from mobile device, like a Square Trade or something like that. That would be interesting to see. And we need to be taking Bitcoins on our website. We can figure that out, maybe, right?
Yeah, we definitely need to do that.
So we'll figure that out. Also, speaking of .com, he has won the right to sue. So he's going to be able to sue the New Zealand government and also the New Zealand police forces that raided his home. He's going to be able to sue them for the illegal collection of data and all their illegal surveillance that they were carrying out upon him.
But he also had to appeal to the New Zealand Supreme High Court of something because the U.S. won the right to extradite him without giving him full evidence against him. That was a while ago.
That fight's just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier.
But they collected the evidence against him improperly, and he's got the right to sue.
Looks like we got a what do we call that? That would be a
some sort of New Zealand standoff, New Zealander standoff. I don't know.
Let's talk about hardware.
Mexican standoff. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Kind of is. The Z78 motherboards are starting to surface, and we're seeing several different motherboards from all different companies that are going to support the Haswell CPUs. We've got them here. There's the MSI. That's a crazy-looking yellow board. Here's another. Here's the ASRock, which the pictures are not loading, but maybe they'll load later if you want to go to uk.hardware.info. See those. We've got the Extreme 6 and the Extreme 4 and the Extreme 4M.
One thing that was interesting about the MSI board is it looked like it had a very low component count. So maybe these are going to be, lower cost boards. I mean, it doesn't look like there's any components on there at all.
I don't know. I mean, they got a lot going on in the back. I mean, a lot, but I don't know. Let's see what's going to come out of that. And they're really not that different than the Z77 motherboards. A little fancier. There's the Asus option there, pictured with M&Ms, because their marketing company just loves M&Ms. That's really funny. It's the Asus Z87 Griffin. It's one of their ROG boards. And I just can't get over that screenshot with the M&Ms. It really weirds me out.
Clearly a marketing person took that picture.
Yeah, like, ooh, let's put M&Ms on it. That's what gamers like.
We were doing some work for somebody, and they showed us some of the stuff their marketing people had done, and it was bullets loaded in a magazine backwards. It's kind of like that.
They're just jamming it in there because it's Friday, and they're like, we got to get downtown for the martini party. Yeah. Marketing people are hilarious. There's some Gigabyte boards out there floating around. There's also an overclocking Gigabyte board coming out, Z87X OC. So they branded it as an overclocking board. But Z77, there's some new Z77 motherboards coming out. MSI has a line of gaming Z77 motherboards, and you know they're gaming because there's a picture of a damn dragon on them, and that makes them gaming. So you can take a look and check out what all the specs are there. I'm still happy with Socket 2011, and I can't wait till we get some new Socket 2011 motherboards and maybe some new CPUs. Maybe I'll get a 6-core finally now that games are starting to take advantage of more cores. Like, Crysis was optimized for the 6 cores. Crysis 3 was.
We need a 5 gigahertz 6-core from Intel. Stock. Overclocked to 6.
$900, you can have it.
That would almost be worth it.
I mean, it's like AMD has their stuff, right? And then Intel's like, yeah, we'll give you AMD plus 5% for 3 times the cost. Will you take it? You know what? I probably would take it because I want that little bit extra speed. And I'm crazy. But
mostly because you're crazy.
Yeah. Oh, man. People are going to get upset. Every time I say anything about Intel, people freak out. It is ridiculous. Guys, I use Intel, okay?
But the 8350 is a pretty damn good deal.
You just started a flame war. This entire video is going to be nothing but comments about you guys suck ass.
I can feel someone in the audience using their force powers to choke me. I
think that's your cold. Google has put 20. We're talking about science, by the way. I didn't even do a segue there because I don't know. I want to drink beer or something. Google has put $20 million on the table for the first privately owned company that reaches the moon with a robot and moves that robot 50 meters, or 500 meters, I'm sorry, and also sends back high-definition video to Earth. And this is because we are on a race right now for moon mining.
I want to be on that team. That would be awesome.
That's what we need to do. We need to employ one of your propulsion mechanisms. The ingenious one with the balloons. That's what we need to do.
So people are doing high-altitude photography using balloons. Wonder if you could use the high altitude balloons to get a rocket up to the edge of space, and then use the rocket to get the rest of the way to the moon.
So there wouldn't be like a platform on a balloon. It would be
Yeah.
like the rocket. You'd let the rocket go and then have it shoot up.
Yeah, you would let the rocket go on the balloon, and then the rocket would ignite when it gets to the right spot in the upper atmosphere, and then it would go to the moon. And I think you could almost do that. Like, if it wasn't for this whole terrorism 9/11 thing, I'm pretty sure that you could over the counter buy enough rocket engines to actually do this. But now it's impossible to buy rocket engines.
That's exactly what they want. They want citizens to be able to put rockets in orbit.
But that's to say nothing about actually getting a moon. Like, the robot that we could get to the moon would be like 12 grams on that, on that platform. It's like, it's going to take it 12 years to go 500 meters, but, it did.
Hey, put a Raspberry Pi in there. So speaking of far-fetched ideas, how about a holodeck? Would you want one?
I want a holodeck now.
Well, AMD says you're going to have to wait 10 to 15 years, but they say it may be possible. They've been working on some 3D technology, and they were hesitant to come out and say how powerful it was, but now they're confident that they can come out and say in 10 to 15 years you'll be able to go, sit down in a holodeck, and bring up a book from the 1940s, just like you used to do in Star Trek, and then you'll be able to interact with holographic characters. Isn't that awesome?
I'm imagining the holodeck, but the reality is probably going to be like it was on SeaQuest. You remember that? It was like an interface where like smoke came down, and then they were like, the person was projected into the smoke, and that was 3D because we didn't know how to, and it was like, look, it's holographic. No.
Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I'm glad AMD is going to be around for a little while, and I'm actually I hope their stock does a little bit better now that they've been announced as the provider of all the... that's a really cumbersome sentence. I'm glad they're going to be working with all the future consoles and that sort of thing. Maybe we'll see some interesting things out of them, like a holodeck. And when you guys get it, holla at me.
Oh.
This show's gone to hell.
We have to keep the professionalism below a certain maximum threshold.
Yeah. I'm not wearing pants, if that helps.
Neither are most news anchors, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, except for the ones that want to pretend to be professional. They're wearing like a full suit, but you guys don't even know what it's like.
I'm looking forward to seeing Brick and Anchorman too.
Harvard scientists are building an Iron Man-like suit for military. You know what? This is a misleading headline here on computerworld.com because it is not Iron Man-like. It does not make waffles and shoot missiles at the same time. What it does is it's sort of like another exoskeleton like we've seen many times before. They're doing it for DARPA. They've received a $2.6 million grant. And it's really just going to be a suit that enables them to go farther, carry more stuff, and it gives them a little bit of protection.
Yeah, we've seen that kind of stuff before. There's a gas-powered suit where like metal hooks come down parallel to your arms, and they can be used for lifting really heavy stuff.
Yeah, I was
like
using
cars.
one of those. Yeah.
So this isn't like
significant others.
Like Professor Justin Hammer at Harvard is working on blah 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 Iron Man suit something something. No, it's not that at all.
I hate cracks in concrete. That's why they've developed a new system to fix cracks in concrete. SelfHealing Concrete.
Solar-powered self-healing concrete.
That's why this is interesting. I suppose at the Yonsei University in South Korea, they've come up with a method of putting capsules into concrete, and when the cracks occur, the capsules break. There's a polymer inside. The sun heats it, and it repairs the crack, and it's waterproof. So that's pretty cool. We desperately need that for our bridge infrastructure. I don't know where that accent came from. We need that for our bridge infrastructure in America.
All of our stuff was made 50 to 100 years ago, and now we're like, what do we do? It's like, well, perhaps we should repair it.
No, most of the reaction to that is like, shut up, no, just keep going.
Just pave over it, it'll be fine.
Don't talk about the cracks on the underside of the bridge. Just keep using it until everyone dies. How would you like Terabit Wireless?
Yes, please.
Well, some guys at Georgia Tech, believe it or not, there's actually a technical institution in Georgia. There we go. Someone's playing a drinking game right now and just took a shot because I made fun of Georgia. I saw the drinking game on Tech Syndicate, and that was one of the things. Whenever I make fun of Alabama or Georgia, they take a shot. Don't forget Mississippi. Anyway, some guys in Georgia Tech, they're using graphene, which is that substance that Nokia was using, talking about using for some of their phones. It's like 300 times greater than steel as far as the strength goes, and it's 1 atom thick. Now, using this, they're going to be able to build antennas that are capable of delivering terabit wireless speeds.
One of the reasons is because these antennas are so immune to noise. Like, they're really, really good waveguides. They can basically directly capture an electron stream with no outside interference, which is really exactly what you need for wireless.
Better than a quartz crystal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nanoscale antenna. You can have 1 billion of them on a 1-foot antenna. So, I mean, how could you not? I mean, that would be great.
You know what's faster than Terabit Wireless?
What's that?
The spooky action at a distance.
Oh, this is the quantum entanglement Einstein thing.
Yeah, let me break it down for you guys who do not know what quantum entanglement is. And like you said, this is kind of from Wikipedia. We're cheating. But take a quarter, slice it in half down the middle so you have heads and tails. Put it into an envelope without looking at it. So you do not know what's in either envelope. Mail one to Bob in New York. Mail the other one to Susan in Los Angeles. Now, one of those guys is going to open that. But until then, nobody knows what's inside there. They don't know if it's heads or tails. Now, as soon as Bob opens his and pulls it out and sees that it's heads, how quickly is the other one tails? Is it instant? Is there a delay? And of course, this is all hypothetical because a quarter, you know that there's a physical property. But on a quantum level,
Yeah,
it's not decided until you open that envelope.
Yeah, until you actually observe it, it's not actually decided. And so, like, literally, half of the quarter is both heads and tails at the same time in both locations. And this is provable. Like, physicists can prove that this is the state of things until someone looks at it.
So it's kind of like Schrödinger's cat, but on a but distance.
Yeah. So
Schrödinger.
Schrödinger's cat. It's a very okay. The guy in New York opens his. How fast does the one in LA collapse into a state?
So they're saying it's at least 10,000 times faster than the speed of light. That's freaking fast.
But the upper bound is that it occurs instantaneously, which would be infinitely fast.
Which is what I want because that makes sense to me. I mean, if they're entangled and they're separated, they're still the same particle. I mean, from all the quantum physics that I've read, that makes sense. So unless there's some new, angle to quantum physics that I'm not aware of yet.
Relativity said nothing can move faster than the speed of light. And so this is moving faster than the speed of light. But then they revised it. And the revision is that no information can travel faster than the speed of light. And so even though this is happening from New York to LA immediately, we can't use it to transmit information yet. Although some physicists think you can.
Well, they can in Orson Scott Card's little world.
Well, this is what we're going to need for an interplanetary internet.
If you guys want to check out, an entertaining piece of literature, they're also making a movie about this finally. But check out Ender's Game. It's by Orson Scott Card, and there's a device in there called the Ansible. Now, this is a piece of entertainment. It's literature, but the Ansible, he describes it in a way that will help a lot of this make sense to you. So check that out. It's a great read. I'm just recommending a book here. Should we talk about the Sunstone unearthed from a shipwreck?
It was a very interesting science article. Basically, the short version is they found a crystal in an ancient shipwreck, blah, blah, blah. This crystal polarizes light, and so it can be used to track the sun even when the sun is behind clouds, and can be used for navigation. So that shows that old school mariners could use the sun for navigation. This is before the invention of compasses and things like that. They could use the sun for navigation even on days when you can't see the sun, and because the light's polarized, they can also track the sun after it sets for like an hour.
That's insane.
Yeah. And so it was like, why is this, ship navigation, blah, blah. Norse legends refer to it as a sunstone. And so we found one, and it actually does work.
Man, those guys discovered they landed on the moon before anybody else did. Gaming. It's time to talk about gaming. Torment.
Funded immediately.
Yeah, funded in like 6 hours. This is ridiculous, guys. It's from In Exile. They're the guys who are working on Wasteland 2. A lot of the team members from Interplay are working on this. Even the president of Black Isle Studios is on board helping out with this. So that's a pretty big deal. Now, if you ever played Torment, Planescape Torment, it was a very rich world, sort of a precursor to Baldur's Gate and some of those amazing games. A lot of people would argue that it's a more engrossing story than Baldur's Gate. Some would argue that it's not, but you guys surely want to check this out. And what's interesting is the guys at In Exile, they're still working on Wasteland 2, but the writers are finished with Wasteland 2, and the art department is pretty much finished with Wasteland 2. All they have to do now is program and put all the stuff together. So in order to keep them working, they started another Kickstarter, and they're going to immediately start work on the writing and the scoring and et cetera, et cetera. But this thing just exploded, and that shows you how much demand we have for this. These guys have had terrible luck with big producers. They're listening to their ideas and be like, are there birds in it? Zombies?
Are the birds angry?
Are they angry, perhaps? No, we don't want to talk about this. It sounds stupid. No audience for that. So it's pretty cool to see that that's going on Kickstarter. And I already backed it for sure because I'm dying to play Torment. It looks really awesome. But you guys can check out the video. It's really hilarious. They use a kid to play an executive, and he's a hell of a little actor. So have you seen the video?
I have not.
Oh man, it's like there's like this little kid and he's pretending to be a game executive, and it's really funny.
Speaking of Epic Game Company catastrophic failures,
SimCity. What a freaking mess this is. Now, to start off, Penny Arcade did a decent review on this, and then they published an article because they're stand-up guys, unlike Wiener and Boner. They're stand-up guys.
only Electronic Arts can bring you failure of this magnitude. If you could read that, or if you could listen to that in Admiral Akbar's voice. We can't repel failure of this magnitude.
We can't repel failure of this magnitude. Anyway, they released an article like right after the review that said, and the article is entitled "Why You Shouldn't Trust Our SimCity Review," and they basically say that it's not a real world scenario what they were given. At first, EA wanted to bring the reviewers to the EA complex and force them to do the review there under supervision, which is just what? It's ridiculous. And then they allowed them to play it for a few days, but of course they didn't have any of the server troubles or anything like that everyone else is experiencing. Amazon, in response to this, has pulled the digital game from their store.
It's that bad.
Because it's been getting nothing but, 1-star reviews. Out of 833 reviews at the time of this article, 740 were 1-star and only 20 were 5-star.
At Valve's headquarters, on Gabe's wall of monitors, he's got a button, and it's like Steam sale, non-SimCity gaming simulator sale. And all he has to do is push the button.
He needs to do that.
And there's like 8 games that are city simulators on Steam that'll be immediately on sale. Like,
He needs to do that like right now. I saw that picture on Reddit and I was like, that is hilarious. They need to do that right now. It would be like, it was like the top of Reddit. It was like, come on, Steam, twist the knife.
Gabe, we know you watch. Just push the button.
Do it. Oh, you better be watching. ARMA 3, the alpha is out. And
and the glitches are hilarious.
Oh my god, this one right here. The mortars, have you seen this one?
We need the Benny Hill music.
God, that song drives me crazy. God, I love that glitch. That's hilarious. Here, a little dance party glitch here. Yeah. Getting down to that.
But this is an alpha. But
Yeah.
ARMA 3 looks like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and Daisy... these guys are like scream laughing over there. So the glitches are a lot of fun. And remember the growing neck glitch? I think it was from Battlefield. There it is. The growing neck glitch is back, but in a different engine. I don't even want to know what's going on there. It looks obscene. That is terrifying.
Hey,
So
if we don't have the I'm going to go prone, oh no, both of my legs are broken glitch, I'll be satisfied. I'm going to go prone on this rock. Oh, I seem to have broken both of my legs.
Yeah, those look like it's going to be a good game. They've got some work to do, but hey, it's an alpha, and they're letting us play it after you pay for it. But hey, you're getting early access to an interesting game, and you get to laugh at the glitches, so enjoy. Anything else to add? I don't think so. No.
Beer Games Beer, rate, subscribe, something, everything on fire. We love you. Bye-bye.
You love them. That medicine, what has it done to you? You're all getting all cuddly.
I don't even know.
Subscribe, or else I will drink orange juice in underwear. No one's going to subscribe now. Everyone wants that.
That's really
and
true.
I won't do it in Alaska because in Alaska, orange juice is like $28 for freaking Minute Maid. Low quality Minute Maid crap, and orange juice is like $28 a gallon.
Because it's Alaska.
Yeah.
Because you can't get oranges in Alaska.
Nope. And if you did grow oranges in Alaska, they'd be the size of this table because that's just how you grow things in Alaska. All right, that's the end of everything. I'll see you guys next time. Scroll a little bit. So do you know what's both of us